This is a beginner tutorial to answer the question, what is Plotly Dash? It's a Python-based plotting and simple dashboard for the plots. It's entirely in Python and it will export to JavaScript. We will deploy it to LeapCell in the next video. I've set up a new project with UV. I've gone to the Plotly site for Dash, and I'm going to copy and paste the tutorial in. I'm going to first try to activate the virtual environment that was set up with UV so I don't mess up my system Python. I didn't set it up yet, so I'm going to use UV VENV. If you don't have UV installed, you should install it. I'm going to use source.venv/bin/activate to activate the virtual environment. Now my system prompt has plotly-dash-leapcell in it. I'm using the free positron editor that's specifically made for visualization. I started it from the command line within my virtual environment. I'm going to add some of the dependencies using UV add. Again, UV is an alternative to pip and is generally considered to be superior to pip by most people. So looking at the import statements on the sample code, I'm going to import Plotly, and then it's in quotes, so I can use this square bracket, pandas, which you'll probably use, dash bootstrap components, so I can put some HTML-like components in there in the bootstrap theme. Dash-ag-grid, which is this nice table that you'll see on the web page in JavaScript. I'm also going to add Gunicorn with a G on it, which I'm going to use for deployment on LeapCell in the next video. I've started positron with positron space dot on the command line with the virtual environment activated. Now I'm using this free editor positron. I'm going to app.py. I've renamed main.py. I'm going to use the file name app.py. I'll simply just copy the example code for Dash in here. It's only 54 lines, so quite easy to read and quite easy to work with. 100% Python. Oftentimes, to learn a new technology, the most difficult part is simply to set it up and get everything installed. I think once it's installed and running, we can look at the individual portions of the Python code and quickly figure out what this thing is. So I've just run it with normal Python, space app.py, in the console of positron, and the chart immediately comes up beautifully within positron. And it looks quite nice. And I like this workflow quite a bit where the chart and the table, it's the AG grid, is within the IDE itself. Everything's fully interactive. I do want to experiment with different types of workflows, so I'm going to compare it to using it within a browser, which also works quite nicely. I think the recommended workflow would be to have the chart within a positron pane, but I'm doing it this way for comparison to see which workflow I prefer, and I believe I prefer it to be within the positron pane. But let's continue on with this workflow for this tutorial, and we'll see how good it is. I'm going to run the app with Unicorn as a test. Unicorn app:"app." And you can apply a hyphen reload to Unicorn if you want to. It still works launching it from Unicorn, which I will need when I deploy to LeapCell in the future. LeapCell is a free way to deploy it. I'll also set the host to the current host 0.0.0, and I'll specify a port here. I'll put the port as 8080. And again, I'm testing it with Unicorn because I'm in a browser, because I'm debugging, or I'm kind of prepped for the deployment of it. So I'm just testing a few things here to make sure that I'll be able to deploy it on LeapCell. We'll also make a minor styling or description change for the Dash Bootstrap component, DBC. There's just a standard HTML div tag here, and I'll change the string and we can see what it looks like. If you're familiar with Bootstrap, the Dash Bootstrap component might be good to use. If you're not familiar with Bootstrap, there's other component libraries that you could use within Dash. But I'm using DBC for this one. It was the default one on the tutorial. And I've used Bootstrap in the past. I think most people have. So it's a row and a column architecture. So I'm setting up another row here. And then within the row, there's a grid structure, right? So there's a row, and then within the row, I'm going to add a column, and I'll have a H4. So it's the one of the headings of HTML, right? It's the fourth from the largest. We'll just have about this visualization. Bootstrap uses a bunch of these class names. We'll add a margin top of 4. It's not 4 pixels. It's just a unit here. Also, the width that you're seeing up there on line 38 is not the width in pixels. It's a unit in Bootstrap. So it's a what percentage or how many units within a 12 unit space. I'm going to use this lorem ipsum. If you type lipsum.com or just type lorem ipsum into Google, you can get placeholder text that is in Latin. It's not made to be read by humans. You just kind of look at it and realize that there is text there. So, and people, they don't focus on what the meaning of the text is. They just look at the shape of the text. So it's good for placement when you don't actually have real text or real data here. And it's a sign to people viewing the site that this will be changed to the actual text in the future. So they don't get fixated on what the text says. We just have the placeholder text for the shape of it. And you can see what it looks like. You can look at the font, or change the font, or the size of it, color. And within this row, we have a column, and within the column we have a piece of text, and then below that we're going to insert an image with the image HTML tag. And the HTML tag requires a source. It can either be a local file on your file system or a networked image. So I'm going to use a networked image for this one. And the image, we're going to apply a style. So this style is the HTML style. It's not the Bootstrap 12 units. So we'll set it to 100% width and a max width of 500 pixels. So that 12 is the Bootstrap unit convention. It's not in pixels, which is the full width. Now go on to Wikimedia. Use any image. I'm just using a Wikimedia SVG low resolution map image. All right, congratulations. You got it working and it's looking good. Thank you for your interest in data science with Python. We're collecting feedback to see if there's interest in a free course focused on data science prep for Python developers. In the tight job market, where there are 120,000 computer science majors that graduate from four-year colleges in the United States, many of the computer science graduates are going into data science and they need a bit of prep. Our next video is going to cover deployment to LeapCell free tier. We're looking to cover Posit Connect Cloud free tier also for deployment. If there's interest, we will cover Shiny for Python. The strategy for the course is to use a professional workflow with professional tools. It's going to be portfolio driven, and it'll have a customizable project template for data analysis. So you need to make more complex projects to show to future employers, not just going through a tutorial. You have to take what's in this tutorial and make it into a more complex project. So if you have interest, maybe give the video a like. We can use that as feedback, or even better, drop a comment, and the course will be free with no catches, no credit card needed. But we're still deciding internally whether to produce the course or not.